And to be honest, for me, there was always an awareness that God existed. Partially because of my mom, but it was also the sense of like, man, there's no way I just popped up out of nowhere. I came from a broken home. There was a lot of tension in my household because my mom was kind of the one that was trying to instill godly morals in us, and my dad struggled with addiction most of my life, and I hated being home because of the atmosphere in my house. So my natural instinct was to try to run as far away as I could, and my escape was basketball. I played basketball for hours and hours and hours. But in the process of me finding that passion for basketball in that very park, a lot of drug dealers came, a lot of gang members came, and they would pull up in these cars that were so enticing to me as a young kid, and I started looking up to them. Then Cadillacs and the Jordans and the nice shoes, and for me, I was intrigued by that. I learned that one of the biggest drug dealers in the neighborhood lived 4 houses from me. And one day he asked me if I would deliver the drugs for him, and I simply said, absolutely. At that moment, I grabbed the drugs from the drug dealer, and that's when my life took a terrible turn for over 10 years of my life. I'm trafficking drugs at this point, and a friend of mine just knocks on my door and asked me if I was willing to be a part of a robbery that was gonna bring $500,000 worth of street drugs. We had everything set up. We had bulletproof vest, we had armory, we had everything. And the night before the robbery, the cable got cut off on my house, and the Heat were playing in the playoffs. It was Game 6 against the Chicago Bulls. And I remember I was not gonna miss this game for nothing in the world. And as a result of that, I ended up sleeping in a hotel. That small detail led to my life being saved, because the next morning, when they came to look for me as the getaway driver, they knocked on my house door and I wasn't there. And they went to do the robbery, and as they went to do the robbery, it was an undercover Fed operation. The Feds were forced to open fire, took my friend's life, who replaced me as the driver. Simultaneously, they had a team of Feds come into my hotel room to arrest me. And at that point, I was facing 55 years in a cold federal cell. I felt hopeless, felt like I had nothing. Miraculously, the charges were dropped against me. And at that moment, I knew I had to leave Miami. I had to leave my hometown. And I moved to Central Florida, and I ran into a man whose name was Pastor Wendell Wilson. And I remember he ran a program for men, a discipleship program, a rehabilitation program to help young guys that were struggling in life to try to find purpose. And at that moment when I met Pastor Wendell, he embraced me as I was, broken. I had so much baggage from my past, and yet he called me son. And before I had to earn it, before I gained anything, before I even had relational equity with him, he called me son. And that began to just melt my heart. And as he called me over to hug me, that was the transformative moment in my life, because I felt like, man, he was loving me right where I was. He wasn't judging my condition. He wasn't judging my past. He wasn't judging. He didn't ask all these preliminary questions of, man, what you do? How'd you get here? Why are you here? Why are you doing this? He just loved me with Jesus. Yeah, I think about the gospel, and I think about my life in parallel, and think about everything I've done. I felt like, man, there was no way I was worthy enough for God to accept me. There was no way that he would actually accept me the way I was. But the gospel, I realized, was open for everybody. And that's what he died on the cross for. And that's why I fell in love with him. And I feel like a chief of sinners. And God embraced me and loved me and changed my life. Am I perfect? No. But I know every single day of my life, I'm loved by God. I want to continue to progress in my journey with him.